Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. Here today with Farbode.
Hello.
And Alex.
Yo.
And I'm also Alex. And it's just us. 2015. Yay. Finally the point of the year where it's not sad to make predictions about the World Series. So, let's get started with that, I guess. Predictions for the American League. Let's go ahead and start with that.
Okay, so for the MVP?
No, but pay attention. I'm talking about the World Series.
Oh, World Series, my bad. That's a tough one. I'm not sure the Angels are gonna get anywhere. I'm not sure the Angels are gonna get to the World Series. I can see playoffs. Mariners have a strong team.
Give us a team.
Give us a team? I'm just gonna say Angels because I'm an Angels fan.
I'm gonna go with probably the Mariners. They have a great bullpen, great pitching, great defense, and as long as what the Royals did last year isn't some fluke, I think they have the same kind of team, but a better version in every category. Maybe without quite that exact same pure speed, but that's it. I'm gonna go with the Mariners. They'd be my World Series pick for the AL.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say Orioles so long as they're not done, because I'm confident that they're gonna try to fix their outfield a little bit, and if they do that, then
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them a shot there. If not, then I'd probably go with.
I was thinking them too, but their team right now is definitely worse than last year's, and they definitely have to make a move or two. But if
They
they
should
do,
go after Aoki.
Yeah, no, but if I'm making a prediction, I have no idea what's gonna happen.
I agree.
If not, then I'd probably say something
I agree.
E Angels or some AL West.
That's why I said.
Yeah.
Okay, NL?
NL predictions, I would say the Nationals.
I would say...
Oh, no, the Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Yeah, I'd have to go with the Dodgers, but I'd be convinced between the Nationals, Cardinals, Dodgers, easily. Those teams are the three best teams in the major leagues. In my opinion, I could see any of them making a World Series, but I would agree and say Dodgers.
The thing about the Dodgers is that, I know this doesn't really affect their World Series, but it affects their record and playoff chances. The last few years, they've started off really cold, the first month or so. If they get on a hot streak at the beginning of the year, I think they can just run away with that division and probably that league.
I think this is also the best team they've had in this era in every way. And,
they have a great bullpen, offense, pitching.
They have everything.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Alex? What do you?
Agreed. I'm gonna go ahead and give a little underdog pick to the Cubs just because it's more fun that way.
Wow,
that's bold.
Series, that's really bold.
It really comes down to their pitching if they have enough of that. They have a good enough lineup.
I think,
I don't know.
People tell me I'm bold for saying they make the playoffs, and
why not?
They're going to go make the World Series. Wow.
Bold predictions.
Well, prediction at the beginning of the year, they're fun too, so.
Yeah, that's why. It's so far off in the future.
Alright, I respect that.
Yeah, okay. So, MVP predictions. Let's start the American League there.
I will, for the AL MVP, I will say if he can cut down on the strikeouts, I think it's Trout, because last year he had a really down year, but he still won MVP.
Let me ask you a question. Why does he have to cut down the strikeouts then? If he won last year.
He led the league in. Okay, so
why does he have to cut him down to win?
Because
he won this year.
I don't think he should. First of all, he shouldn't have won it unanimously. If he's batting.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, he won it unanimously. And,
I didn't like that either.
What does that mean, winning unanimously?
He got all the first place votes. And,
he did?
Yeah,
he
did.
Know that.
He got all the first place votes, and I think he should be stealing more. I think he should be, because if he cut down on the strikeouts, especially during the second half last year, his average would have stayed at 310, maybe higher. He batted 287 last year. I think he could have done better. I was just a little disappointed. I don't know. In the year he had. Rudy?
I'm gonna go with Jose Abreu because I believe the White Sox are gonna make the playoffs, and Jose Abreu is already arguably was probably top 5 player in the American League last year, and
Put him on a playoff team, you got.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Put him on a playoff team and you got an MVP.
I'm saying I think they're gonna.
Exactly.
I think the White Sox are gonna make the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Him in the lead, and I think he can only get better probably. So that'll be my person.
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of the picks with category like MVP is you don't know what their team's gonna do, and there's a lot of factors outside of what the player's gonna do. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit of an outside one with Jose Bautista. Again, depending on how the Blue Jays do, but he's got a lot more protection.
I like that pick actually a lot.
Yeah.
If he's healthy too,
I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, if he hits 50 plus games while healthy, I mean, you got as good a shot as anybody.
His year last year wasn't really.
It wasn't
really
terrible.
Worse than Trout's in many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have the defense and steals. So I'm not saying he should have won instead, but he actually quietly, no one talks about it, had a pretty insane year.
Wow,
I was surprised
under the radar.
Yeah.
I was surprised that like about the unanimous thing for Trout. I was surprised Abreu didn't get at least a couple first place votes or guys like that.
What about Brantley? Brantley,
I was surprised he didn't get a couple first place votes.
He had a 20 year with almost 100 runs and 100 RBIs, batting .324.
Exactly. But again,
that was as good as McCutchen, and McCutchen won NL MVP.
Yes, but again, playoff teams is one of the weirdest parts of the MVP that I can't explain.
It's very true. Very true. Which is interesting. I don't know if I always agree with that, but yeah.
Okay then, National League?
I have to go with Stanton. If he comes back well, his power is not something you see every day, not something you see in every player. I think he should have won it last year if he didn't get hurt. I think Stanton.
I'm gonna say Yasiel Puig. Dodgers have the best record in baseball. Yasiel Puig is outstanding. Next year, I'm expecting less shenanigans with Jimmy Rollins able to take him under his wing. Better leadership. I mean, his veteran leadership last year consisted of a guy, including Hanley Ramirez, who is an awful clubhouse presence. And so I think the only thing holding him back has been he's kind of a knucklehead, and I think he said publicly that he's going to be better. He's going to be better behaved. So that's my vote.
Well, it's not only behavioral. It's just how he is as a baseball player too. He's a very wild baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, yeah, I've been giving some of the other bold predictions, but I'm going to go ahead and say Stanton because I really can't think of anybody that would really be able to top him. Like, if everybody was healthy in the league that rose to their potential, it's got to be Stanton.
Thing about Puig that Rudy said that it's going to be like that if he calms down and isn't as wild. I agree that can help him, but sometimes that's how he plays. If some players, that's how they play. And if you take some of that down, I don't like what he does sometimes, but I feel like it could hurt his hit playing a little too.
Yeah, I feel like he declined last year in stats.
Yeah, he did.
But I think he has more protection in the lineup this year. And I would say another candidate who I think is also, I'll be mentioning later in the show for a different award prediction. I think another possible MVP candidate would be Bryce Harper.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. I thought he could be, after the injuries last year, he still has great potential. He's still a great player. It's just,
I noticed that no one's mentioned last year two-time or one time, or at least for sure last year's MVP winner, Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, I think people are just kind of over him.
I think he's definitely one of the worst MVPs we've had recently, if that makes sense. And also, no one's mentioned Jonathan Lucroy, who, in my opinion,
Wait, Kershaw won MVP last year.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. So he won the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Jonathan Lucroy, I think, should have won the MVP last year. I'm surprised. I think he's another possible candidate. Another player his team not making the playoffs. Definitely for him.
I will say, if either the Brewers or the Pirates end up making the playoffs or winning their division, then I think they're definitely in the running for that. Because if they do make it, it's going to be because of them. So
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to what is that? AL Cy Young.
Yeah.
Yes.
My AL Cy Young for 2015 is the guy who was second place, I believe, this year, Felix Hernandez. He had a great year last year. I don't see him not winning it at least another time without the 13-12 record he had when he actually won it. Kluber, I was kind of surprised Kluber won it because people started talking about him second half of the year, not so much the first half. It was kind of, I heard more about Felix both halves than I did about Kluber all year. So, I don't know. I thought Felix should have won it last year, but even though Kluber did have a great year.
Yeah, I felt that way too. Like, he had such a good year. I mean, Kluber pretty much did a great job matching up with that.
Yeah.
And then, it's just kind of sad. Like, oh.
Well, I mean, Kluber's a great pitcher, obviously. He's a great pitcher, and he deserved it, but I think Felix deserves it a little more.
Yeah, especially because that's, in my opinion, probably one of his career years. And
exactly.
He didn't win, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Chris Sale. He's 25 years old. He's fourth in ERA, fourth in strikeout rate, fourth in strikeout to walk rate over the past 2 years. Has had one career DL stint. Pitches in the AL, which is a difficult league.
Well, all of them do, but.
What? Sorry?
All of these pitchers do.
Just compared to, I don't know, some of the other great pitchers. I was saying it more generally. And because I was saying he's ranked fourth in all those categories.
Oh, okay.
He's so nasty.
Those are in the MLB. And, no one really talks about him that much, but he's a freaking monster.
I was watching a White Sox game last year, or I wasn't there, but I was watching on TV. It was probably mid-August. At that point, I heard the announcer say he had only given up 1 or 2 hits to lefty hitters.
I mean, his year last year, only 26 games he was injured in
Yeah, he had an elbow problem.
Yeah, he still had 208 strikeouts in 26 starts. So
that's how nasty he is.
Yeah, that's my pick. And his whip is disgusting. So.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and give mine to Masahiro Tanaka because I want him to be healthy and I'm expecting him to be healthy, and if he's healthy then who knows what he can do. So I'm gonna give it to him.
I like that pick as long as he stays healthy, because first half of the year, the first few months that he actually did play in, he has so much movement on his pitches. You don't know, all the hitters just look confused. He's so good, but it's the question on staying healthy with him.
Can I say one more possible candidate, though he's not my pick?
Go for it.
Yu Darvish.
Yes, that's
as long as he stays healthy.
For similar reasons.
They both have the splitter of death.
And Yu Darvish has the 25 pitches or something. He has 8 different sliders.
Yeah, and they all have the same release point or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a GIF where it's 10 pitches and they're all
I know.
the same way and they're all completely different. So I think he's definitely up there too.
Give the Japanese pitchers some love there. Alright. So we're also gonna go ahead and talk about the Rookie of the Year for the American League.
Oh, what about the NL Cy Young?
Did we not do that? I'm sorry. NL Cy Young.
There we go.
NL's boring.
Yeah, that it is.
Because everybody's gonna say the same thing.
I don't think anyone else is going to win the NL Cy Young other than Kershaw, unless Kershaw gets hurt, but I don't think he's going to get hurt. He's a great player. I don't think anyone else is going to win it if he stays healthy.
I'm gonna go with Madison Bumgarner. Because people are gonna, I'm not saying, this is a prediction of who will win, not sorry. I think maybe deserves it the best. Because I think Kershaw, like you said, for both the foreseeable future will be the best pitcher. And his year last year actually was nowhere near in comparison to Kershaw's. But if Kershaw dips just a little bit and they just come a little bit closer in production, I think his heroics in the playoffs will carry over this year's voting.
Mm-hmm. So I'll go Kershaw. I'm kind of bitter that we didn't get the Kershaw sweep there, but bold predictions. It's fun. So now on to the American League Rookie of the Year.
Well, Rookie of the Year, my prediction is the guy the Red Sox signed mid-season last year, $72.5 million. Rusney Castillo. He's young. He's supposed to be a superstar. Came up in September 17th, batted .333 after that. 2 homers, 3 stolen bases.
He's not that young. Isn't he like 27?
He's still supposed to be great, so
Really?
yeah, he signed $72.5 million for 7 years. Yeah. And so he's my pick for Rookie of the Year.
I'm gonna go with Byron Buxton because he's supposed to be the next Mike Trout, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Five-tool guy. He's been ranked number 1 in all prospect watch on like most major sites for probably past 2 years. He was injured for most of last year, so it might take him a little bit longer to get into the major leagues. But we saw that 2 years ago where Will Myers, I think, only played like 2/3 of the season and still won Rookie of the Year. So, I don't think the American League has a very strong rookie class projected to play this year. So I'm gonna go with him.
Can I say a candidate I think could win it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Brandon Finnegan. Left-hand.
I don't know who that is.
He's
That
the
is
Royals.
Royals
yeah.
left-hand pitcher.
Is he a starter?
He
can start. Yeah, he's gonna be a starter. I think
Wow,
I think
that's like
he could go for it.
That's a deep sleeper.
Yeah, I think he could go for it if Buxton isn't playing to what he could be playing at. If Castillo is not even anywhere near it. I don't know.
He's not even their top ranked pitching prospect.
I know. He had a 10.5 ERA in the playoffs, but that's because of his last outing that he sucked in.
I'm sorry, he's their 4th ranked pitching prospect. That's really bold. Okay.
I'm not saying he's my pick, but I think he could be a candidate.
Okay. What do you think?
Nice. I'm gonna kind of bend the rules a little bit and say one of the rookies that will be playing for the Rays next year because they've been wheeling and dealing and bringing in a lot of rookies a lot of which I've not heard of, some of which I have, like Souza and who is that in the Zobrist trade they got
Robertson or whatever.
Yeah, Robertson. And I don't know exactly who a lot of these guys I haven't even heard of, but I see like they're very high up in these other clubs rookie.
Yeah, they're always like the top 3.
They're just bringing in tons and tons of rookies. I mean, I'm just playing the probability that it's going to come from the Rays.
Okay, so you're not picking a specific guy, but you're just picking.
Yeah.
You're confident in the Rays.
In their haul this
okay.
season, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. NL.
I think I'm not going to choose one guy because it could be. It depends on how Chris Bryant comes up in the MLB. I think it would be him if he comes up to how everyone expects him to play. But it could be Tomas that the Diamondbacks just signed, or it could be Bryant's teammate Soler. So those 3 are my kind of co-picks. Rudy?
Yeah, I think it's Chris Bryant without a doubt. He's just I don't know where to begin with what he's done. He reminds me of a young Jim Thome. Jim Thome used to play third base. That's what he played when he first came to the league. And we all know Jim Thome has over 600 career home runs. And I think Chris Bryant has that similar raw power, but also Jim Thome was always just considering how great of a power hitter he was always I always thought of him as just a guy who I could be confident get a hit, even though maybe he didn't hit in the high 300s or something. He always kept a solid average in the high 280s. I think Chris Bryant is going to be that kind of player, just a offensive powerhouse with third baseman.
All right.
I see that.
I definitely agree with you on that front. And you know, he is my pick, just saying. But if things don't go right for him or he's injured or whatever, I'm giving Jock Peterson a chance there if he can be a very Brett Gardner-y type player. I think that'll earn some respect.
I love that comparison. That's a great where he could be. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. So one last little category is the a comeback player that you see having an impact next year.
I think one of the comeback players, actually a lot of the candidates for the comeback players are on one of our teams of the week, Texas Rangers. Shin-Soo Choo, Prince Fielder, Darvish, because he was hurt at the second half. Darvish not so much, but
no.
I think Andrews, yeah. I think Fielder, if he comes back to what we're used to him, what we're used to watching him play, like, I think it's Fielder. So he's my pick. Rudy?
Is it okay if I just mention something back on Halo Rookie of the Year that I kind of forgot?
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
That guy on the Rangers, his name is, I'm blanking on, he plays
Joey Gallo?
Yeah.
No, he's a shortstop second baseman.
Rougned Odor?
No,
Profar? No, Profar's
yeah,
not.
Jurickson Profar.
He's not a rookie.
He's not.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not. He's been playing.
Why?
He's been playing for
he had
a couple of
stint,
years.
and then he got injured. I don't think that.
Yeah, he's been playing
He never, played,
No, I think he was
Like,
called up the year before.
I don't think he didn't even play in the majors last year.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
No, he was hurt last year. Never mind.
He
Played the year before, though. He played the year before.
He only played in September that year.
So would
Okay, I'm not an expert on how
I
decide eligibility.
That he didn't play isn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they count eligibility for Rookie of the Year, like you said, but if he's a rookie, that could work. That if he plays well. But
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So,
okay, then,
you were talking. You want.
My comeback player of the year is gonna be Brian McCann.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
He was horrible last year, as a Yankees fan I know. He was dreadful at the plate in every way you could possibly think of.
Well, he still had 23 home runs somehow, didn't he?
Ballpark.
Adam Dunn hits 20 home runs a year, but no one thinks he's a good hitter. I watched.
Good pitcher.
He's still good defensively, still has a good presence, but they better let him grow back his beard, because all his hitting prowess left with that. But hopefully.
No, that's not the Yankee way.
He'll be better. Yeah, that's true. Hopefully he'll be better next year.
He's on my fantasy team. I thought he was going to be.
You guys are right, by the way. Profar, I think, it says he played 85 games in 2013, which I assume is going to be too much.
Yeah.
I thought McCann was going to be great with that short porch in right field, but I don't know. He was on my fantasy team. I picked him because of that, but he didn't play well. That's a good pick for him being comeback player of the year.
Yeah. For mine, I'm going to go with Josh Reddick on the A's, because he had a very down year.
That's also a good pick.
And with all the things that are shifting around.
He's mad too with his tweets.
I'm gonna disagree with
I'm saying he has a lot of potential power-wise. His glove has always been there, obviously, but.
I don't think he's that good. I think what he was last year is what he is. I think, the year when he had 32 home runs is just a fluke. Because
that's why I put him in the comeback.
The last 2 years in a row, he's had 12 each.
I
just don't think he's a great player. I just don't think he'll ever. I don't think he will. He can come back. I don't think he's that. That was just a fluke year, honestly.
I don't expect him to carry that. I don't expect him to carry the A's. I just expect him to be a solid everyday right fielder, which is what they got none of last year. So, depends on your definition of comeback player, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I just don't think his season last year was. That was his second best full season of his career, arguably so.
Well, it's still a big drop,
Yeah.
So
Not compared to the year before. He was better than, I'm just saying, like, he was better than 2013 and 2014.
all the years get jumbled up in my head. I forget which year he wasn't
He was horrible
All-Star
in
candidate
2013.
or whatever.
That is true.
So I don't know. All right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move on to the top stories. We spent tons of time on predictions.
I would like to, could I add one more award that is not an official award, but I think is worth mentioning?
Have at it. Go for it.
I think, I like to call it the Babe Ruth Award. And for that's just a temporary name until, and add up to one.
It'll catch on,
I think
hopefully.
maybe people could comment what they think the best name would be. Basically the best hitter in baseball. Cause it's the offensive equivalent of Cy Young. Cause I'm not really a big fan of like the pitchers being able to get voted for MVP when they also have their own award in Cy Young.
Yeah.
And I don't really think they should be even counted for MVP because they don't even play more than twice a week at the most. So they're not everyday players, but that's a different discussion. So I think we can maybe talk about quickly who the best hitter we think in each league, or maybe just overall is going to be next year.
Yeah, go ahead and just say the name, quick reason. Yeah, we don't have to go too in depth about this.
Rudy, who's yours? Rudy, who's yours?
I think the best in baseball next year, it's going to have to be Stanton, hitting wise.
Are we doing all of baseball with this one thing?
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, let's just do that.
AL, I'll have to think about it a little bit more.
Let's just do all of baseball then. Whatever. It's not a real award. We can do it.
Yeah, okay.
Yuri, who's yours?
Oh, mine, I'll go with Jose Altuve. There you go.
You guys took my top two picks, so I'm gonna say.
Oh, wait. Okay.
I have my pick. If he stays healthy, which he has never done, Troy Tulowitzki.
That's outstanding. That's great.
Except for the fact that he just had hip surgery and we have no idea what's going on.
No, pure hitter, like hitting wise, he's great.
Like this award was last year. Like, this is like how like last week Victor Martinez and what's his name he's on Seattle now. He was in the Orioles last year.
Cruz.
They didn't really get much recognition because they're terrible defenders / they mostly DH.
Or PEDs.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, I mean, that's a different discussion. But, yeah, I think it's interesting that, like, no award for that exists. I guess the Silver Slugger is kind of like that.
Yeah, but it's not like great. When people say Silver Slugger, it's a big deal to them personally, but it's not like a big deal it's not as big a deal as like MVP.
I agree.
Yeah.
Probably within that high of esteem, so yeah.
There's not as much merit to that. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, as I was about to get into, top stories, we're gonna go and talk about what happened just yesterday actually with Ben Zobrist being sent off to the A's in exchange for, yet again, more prospects. Surprise, surprise.
And Derek Norris.
No, John Jaso.
No.
John Jaso. Derek Norris went to the Padres.
I get it mixed up there, like.
Yeah.
They have that whole bearded.
They're the same person, just righty and lefty. Thoughts?
I think it's a Billy Beane type of move, except the money that's on Zobrist's contract. It's like two guys that aren't big guys, but they could make the team competitive. That at least competitive enough to maybe compete with the Angels, Mariners, maybe Rangers if they're any good, if their guys come back to what we think they are. But for the Rays, they got top prospect, they got John Jaso, I think, back. And,
that's a good point.
I think it's a great trade for both teams, except, Zobrist is a free agent at the end of the year. I'm not sure where he's gonna go. He might return to the Rays because he loves it there. And,
well, they're not gonna pay him.
Yeah, they're not gonna pay him, that's the thing. But, like, basically, I think this trade makes the team competitive for the A's. It makes the A's competitive and makes the Rays, sets them up for the future.
Yeah, I think the only reason why Ben Zobrist wasn't like a super attractive commodity to like every single team in baseball was just the fact that he only has 1 year left on his contract, and
he's 33. The
what are you willing to
$7.5 million
give up
contract.
prospect-wise in exchange for a player like that? But the A's are doing what they do. They bargain hunt, even if it's, what does he have, like $7.5 million next year? It's still a bargain for what he's worth, in my opinion. His versatility and
Maybe the age factor was kind of in it too, because if he's a free agent, he's 33 right now. He's probably 34 next year in his first year of his next contract. Maybe that could be a factor why he wasn't that much of a hot commodity.
I'm actually going to disagree.
That's exactly, yeah.
I think this is a horrible move for the A's. I think their offseason was a disaster, and I'm sorry. I know everyone tries to just give Billy Beane a definite benefit of the doubt with this magic. It's similar to how in NBA, maybe like the Spurs, everyone doubts them, but everyone, because of their age, but everyone ultimately realizes that they'll make something happen eventually in the playoffs. And so, like in baseball, everyone thinks that Billy Beane, just because of his track record, will find a way to turn rags into riches. But his actual trade history is really not as pretty as you would probably think. He's lost about as many as he won, depending on what your definition is of losing and winning. And considering that Zobrist definitely makes more than Josh Donaldson and Brandon Moss, and considering he's a free agent at the end of this year, there's no defense for this in the sense of cost. And their starting left fielder right now is Sam Fold, and they
have Craig Gentry too.
Neither of those guys should be everyday outfielders.
They're not. They're platoon.
But neither of those guys. But that shouldn't, with Josh Reddick and Coco Chris, that's maybe a great defensive outfield. That's a horrible. None of those guys are gonna get on base that much. I mean, their shortstop is Marcus Simeon and Eric Sogard. Oh, I guess they got Yuno Escobar, but he's not really the upgrade. Their staff is either full of young guys who still have something to prove, or guys who could easily decline, have terrible years next year. The only real starting pitcher I trust is Sonny Gray. I hate their offseason. There's I really can't see any reason for to get as a whole, the moves make no sense to me. Why sign Billy Butler to I think he's going to make $10 million a year for 3 years? Trade away Donaldson and Moss for really 50 cents on the dollar. I mean, I really hate their offseason. I'm sorry, but I don't get any, I like this trade a lot for the Rays, I'm sorry. But, I at least understand their plan. I might not really agree with them trading all these players away, but I do understand why they're tearing it down. I think that's a reasonable outlook on there and a realistic approach. I don't understand. I think the A's are considerably worse this year.
Yeah, the A's have had a very odd offseason.
If you're gonna tear it down, I think you should go all in, and I don't agree with this middling approach. I know it's worked for them in the past. I know it's how they built their last team, that 3-year team, and I could be through that 3-year stretch of success, and I could be proven completely wrong, which I'm sure will be by Billy Beane, but I can see no real positive outlook for them going into next year.
Alright. So, next story, also earlier this week, was the Hall of Fame announcement for those that are going to be inducted this year. List them off: Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, and Biggio.
I agree with all of those, except I don't think if you put Smoltz in, I think you have to put in Schilling and Messina in with him, and I really don't like. I'm really not. I think a lot of people kind of tired of the Hall of Fame, the BBWAA's selections in the past couple of years, because they're completely. And a lot of the people who vote, and this is just a general statement. Obviously, not everyone thinks, but there's no consistency. They don't seem to vote in guys as much as in comparison to other previous selections, if that makes sense. Like Bagwell, Piazza, Messina, Schilling, they all compared to other current Hall of Famers. And I don't really see any reason how those guys aren't in yet if Smoltz, or Tom Glavine, who aren't really considerably better than any of those players, in my opinion, got in. And also, one more quick thing, the fact that Nomar Garcia-Parra, Troy Percival, Aaron Boone, and Darren Erstad all got votes is disgusting and a disgrace.
Yeah. About John Smoltz, by the way, I think it's just very unique with his situation as a pitcher. He was on both ends of the game.
But it's not the whole of very unique.
I mean, he killed it in both parts of it, though, so, like, what are you gonna do? You look at him, and he's definitely one of the...
Schilling also closed for the last half of the season for the Red Sox and was really good, but no one mentioned that.
Well, that's not the same... Well, it's not exactly the same as John Smoltz, but...
Why is it so impressive to be a closer?
Because he was really good at it, too. It's not just like he was a closer. He was pretty good. He was pretty darn good at it.
But, I don't, so? Why does that make him better than Mike Messina? Or Kurt Schilling?
It doesn't. It just makes him, more admired, I guess.
I mean, I agree. I see why people, like, get that. I think a lot of people also have bias towards him because he was part of that three-headed monster with Greg Maddux and, Tom Glavine on the Braves. And don't get me wrong, I think he should definitely be a Hall of Famer. But is he deserving of 82.9% of the vote in his first year? I mean, I think that's a bit much in comparison to letting guys like, I don't know. I really don't respect the way some of these voting selections are handled.
Okay. So we can agree, no arguments with Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez.
Okay, this is what I'm saying.
I mean, Biggio took like 40 years to get 3,000 hits.
Oh yeah. So, this is what I'm saying. Yui and I sort of talked about this before. I had to look up how many votes each voter gets. Each of them gets about 10.
They get 10.
They get 10.
They get 10.
They get 10 and
that's 7. Why voting for Aaron Boone and Troy Percival is even sadder.
So that's why I don't understand. Because, no, I mean, I looked that up because I didn't understand why guys like Randy Johnson, Pedro can't get, like, the unanimous vote. That's never been done before.
That's actually what, I've done research, and the reason a lot of guys have actually publicly said why they don't do that, Buster Olney didn't, I think he said he didn't even did a blank, an empty ballot, is because, trying to help the chances of the other guys who aren't as unanimous, like Martinez, Johnson, and Martinez and Johnson, everyone knew we were just going to get in no matter what happened. So some people didn't vote for him to try to help the chances of other players get in. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but
that's a good point, though. I didn't even think of that.
That they did it for mathematical purposes to help their
players
they felt should have gone in. I think that's a very wishy-washy strategy, and I don't know if that really is following what the point of the Hall of Fame is necessarily. Like, what the point of voting is that's kind of like trying to cheat the system in a way. But then I do see the logic too, because I think they're trying to get guys in like Tim Raines, who, by the way, wasn't that much better than Kenny Lofton, who didn't make it past his first year last year of voting. He already got dropped off, which, I think the biggest problem with the Baseball Hall of Fame, is that there's at least like probably 5 major eras, maybe less, but there's like the stats, and that's the main thing people base on, stats and, claims and awards. That changes in different eras, like how good it really is. And I think it just makes it's become a very, very, very complicated and strange thing. And I don't think really there's any real other comparison. I mean, it's interesting how outraged, including myself, people can get out of something that's just about naming the best players in the sport.
Yeah. So,
sorry
from this conversation, there are lots of problems with the Hall of Fame.
Yes, there's a lot.
Congratulations to those who did make it. They're very deserving.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm sorry for the rant.
No, it's fine. It's very mellow rant, I gotta say. So, no big deal. I think it's time to move on to the teams of the week. This week we have the Texas Rangers and Washington Nationals.
Okay.
We got one in the bottom and one on the top. So let's start with the Rangers.
So Texas Rangers, they have actually a bigger, obviously because of the Fielder and Chu contract, they have a bigger payroll than the Nationals. That's our other team. Yeah, they have 100. Yeah. But, okay, so they won 67 games last year. I can find...
They had the worst injuries in history, though.
And they had the most different players played in a year. And, that reminds me of the Lakers last year. But, they have a lot of question marks. I don't know. Obviously Fielder, obviously Chu. I don't know how they're gonna come back. Darvish, is he gonna be ready? Is Profar gonna be ready? Because he gets hurt a good amount of times, I guess. And then, and even Beltre, who's been doing great, he gets hurt too, and he's getting older. Those are the question marks. If those question marks are all resolved and all are working well, I think that team's gonna be a competitive team, but I don't see it. Their pitching staff, other than Darvish, is a bunch of question marks because Holland's coming back too, and I don't know how he's gonna do it.
That's a quality. That's a
quality. Yeah.
Quiet, quality move for an innings eater. It's not that he didn't save the team, but he's competent at least.
Basically what I'm saying is that team, with all those question marks, obviously not all of them are going to be solved, because that never happens. But if all of them get solved, that team's going to be a competitive team to compete with the other top two teams in the AL West. But it's not going to be every one of them solved. I think Fielder can have a pretty decent year. I think Chu might be like the on base guy that he got, but I don't know if he's not going to have power, that much power. Oh, except in that ballpark. Then Darvish, I expect him to be back ready. So, yeah.
Go ahead and give us a win total that you expect this year.
Oh, that's a really hard thing with this team.
Okay, give me
low to mid 80s.
Wow, that's okay. That's more than I would give him. I would give him low 70s. So.
No, I'm an AL West guy. I don't know. I'd like them to be good because of that.
There's just way too much competition.
Yeah, no, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not, unless all the guys overachieve. But they're not going to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be probably like 78 wins to 84, 85 is like the range I think I'm going to give them.
That's a pretty big range.
I know, but
it's a tough team.
Can I say something interesting that I just found out? I was looking at the team payrolls because you mentioned the Rangers payroll being higher than Nationals. I just thought something that was interesting. I know it's kind of a tangent, but 3 teams that ranked in the bottom 6 payroll last year made the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's insane. And the fact that the Orioles are compared to Oakland and Pittsburgh, I don't know. I mean, the fact that those 3 teams spend so little money. And I think they kind of cheat their fans in a way, in my opinion, because they're both spent, if any of those 3 teams spent more money, I think they could easily be top, real legitimate, they could have been, the best teams in baseball if they ever, took the path to get better that involved spending money. I just think that's kind of disappointing to, as a fan of baseball, spending in free agency is one of the ways to get better, and the fact that teams just avoid that path, and I think it's often a final step to World Series success. The fact that teams are just kind of avoiding that path out of financial reasons, I think is kind of depressing.
I think cheating the fans is a bit dramatic, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, because the fans, in the end, what do they want? They want a McCutchen or a Jones that they can buy a jersey for and go to games and have fun and watch their team hopefully get to the playoffs. The average fan is not going to care how much they're spending.
Unless it's spending for a good reason, and
unless they're winning, then obviously.
Unless they're winning.
I mean,
exactly.
I give credit to at least the Blue Jays and the Phillies. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs, and Blue Jays had the longest streak of not making the playoffs in, I think, North American professional sports, and they spent the 8th highest payroll last year. Like, I give them credit; they're trying at least.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But do you have anything to add on the Rangers or Carbone?
Rangers, I mean, there's not much they can do. They've got all the pieces. They're just kind of waiting for their pieces to recharge and hopefully get one last big blow out of all of them at once to give it a run. So, not much going on there in terms of moves they can make right now.
I think they're just like an okay team. I mean, I like a lot of their players, but none of their players are great. And at the moment, I mean, Profar and Darvish could obviously be franchise players next year, turn into them. But as they are currently, there's I think a very meh team.
Yeah, that's exactly
They're definitely not be as bad as last year. That's for
obviously
sure.
not. Yeah.
All right. So let's go and move to the other side of the spectrum, if there's nothing else to say,
Okay.
with the Washington Nationals.
So the Nationals, with the $96 million they had on the payroll, they did their second best team in baseball last year. Yeah, I think so. I can find probably 3 question marks with their team, but I don't really see like.
What are those?
They're not major question marks. They're Ryan Zimmerman. Is he gonna stay healthy?
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering. Not a question mark anymore.
How's Jason Worth gonna come back from his injury and his surgery? And I'm hoping Bryce Harper comes back well, but there's a slight possibility he doesn't come back to, the 2012 numbers and that stuff. So, I don't know. I find Bryce Harper, and there's their next offseason, question marks that I can say, like, they might, Jordan Zimmerman, Ian Desmond, they might, if they,
and Gio Gonzalez are all free.
And Gio, I could see, I mean, I know that team together is an amazing team, but maybe you trade them. Maybe you have to trade them.
I mean, I would not trade all of them.
No.
I would definitely try to re-sign at least one of those.
Not trade all of them, but like,
or at least re-sign a Jordan Zimmerman, or a Desmond.
I've read that Desmond and Zimmerman have gotten contracts, but they haven't signed. So maybe they want to go elsewhere, but I think maybe I'm not saying they will, but maybe you trade maybe a Gio to at least get something back, because they're all free agents and they don't get.
I disagree. I don't think that really makes sense, because I think teams trying to win a World Series.
Oh no,
you really
of course.
See teams trying to win a World Series trade away key players. I think it's really unlikely they can keep all 3, for the simple reason of the market means that players get really overpaid to common sense, even if, like, technically by, like, advanced metrics, how much, I think, like, one more costs like $6 million. They, like, I think it'd be insanely expensive to take them and keep all 3. And, so I think this is probably their year they have to go all in my opinion.
I mean, I'm not.
Only they'll get a better chance, sadly. And I think they have 2 other big holes. And I think that's catcher, because Wilson Ramos gets hurt every freaking year. And I think at second base, because I do not like Danny Espinosa as your starting second baseman.
Did they not? I forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they got somebody that can play second base there also now.
They got 3 good prospects in that trade with the Padres and the Rays. I'm not sure what positions they play. I think one of them's a shortstop. So I think he's Desmond.
That might be it.
He's Desmond's replacement. But he was drafted last year. He won't be in the majors for a year.
I'm just thinking right now, like, I remember reading something where they have other options other than Espinosa that they just acquired, so I don't
Their best player might quietly be Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super quiet, considering how good of a season he had last
but
year.
Harper and Strasburg get most of the acclaim, I feel like.
Zimmerman, yeah. I mean, they're just more interesting. Rendon's very boring by that standard. I mean, he just showed up every day and raked. There's not much more to it. I really don't.
Basically, I'm not saying trade them. Especially because this is the year they have to go all in. But I'm saying what you said, Rudy. There's no way they're going to keep all 3. So maybe get the less valuable one, like least valuable one out for some prospects or something someone you have control of for the next few years that can help you sustain their winning, to keep winning after that. Because if they lose all three to free agency, they're not going to be a great team next year.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, I don't have a problem with after next year, embrace that culture and re-sign at least a couple of those guys. I mean, you're up at the top, you might as well sign a few guys to stay at the top if that's what it takes. I mean, why not, right? They're still very useful players. It's not like they're
Obviously, yeah.
become irrelevant after a couple years, hopefully. So, I think they're in a very good position relative to other, top teams right now.
If I had to guess right now, it would be the Dodgers and the Nationals going for the World Series. Like, going in the National League, competing for, getting into the World Series. Maybe the NLCS they'd play. But I think the Nationals are in a great spot, but that's what I'm saying with Zimmerman and Desmond. I don't know what they're going to do for next off season because it's all about this year, but you have to sustain the team.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we should go ahead and close it up right there.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. In the future, we'd probably like to try to get a Q&A going if there's enough of that.
And follow the Twitter.
Yes, that's right. We also recently created a Twitter. You can tweet questions
at
WPB
_podcast.
Yeah, so that's that right there. Anyway, that's all for now. Tune in next week. Bye-bye.
Adios.